What's up, guys? Big Clyde 34 coming at you today behind the wheel of my rental Shelby GT500. If you want to figure out how I got my hands on an 07 GT500 for just 75 bucks, the video link is down in the description. I'll try and leave it in the comments too if I remember, but you can see all about my experience with this car and what I think of it and my thoughts of it after owning a Z06 for so long. What's it like to go to a Shelby of the same era? Today we're coming out with a video for beginners because I know that while it's hard to remember that some people are just starting out because everybody around you seems to be all into it, there is definitely a big part of car enthusiasts that I kind of want to help out. So today, this video is for you, the beginner. If you're looking to modify your car and get into it, kind of figure out, do I really want to try and modify this thing myself? Do I enjoy wrenching on cars? These are some things that you can do that will be kind of simple and can be worth it and won't be too expensive. Some of them are so easy and pretty much impossible to mess up. There's one or two that are a little bit more difficult that you might want to have a little bit of caution with or somebody helping you out to modify. Naturally, the first thing on everybody's list is going to be a cold air intake. It's the most basic modification that you can do. You need no mechanical ability to be able to install it. It's just a couple of bolts that you have to undo on your stock intake and redo on your new intake. The way that these things work is they're supposed to kind of release restriction on the air that's going into your engine. The way that an engine works is it's a big air pump that essentially you want to get air in and out as fast as possible. That's why with things like superchargers and turbos and other forced, well, I mean, I guess there is no other forced induction, but with any forced induction, you want to be able to get air in and out as fast as possible. So with a cold air intake, you're going to be getting cold air into your engine because the filter is supposed to be located farther away from the source of heat. They try and get the filter to a place where there is cooler air and you want it to be closer to the ambient air temperature as possible instead of the temperature of whatever's going on under your hood. And instead of having a plastic factory intake, the aftermarket intake is kind of designed to be a little bit less turbulent, provide less resistance for the air coming in, so it's quicker in, quicker out. From there, another modification that you might want to dig into naturally would be exhaust. I don't really think there's much explanation that goes into this one. The same concepts at play. Again, a motor, engine, whatever you want to call it, is essentially a big air pump, and getting air in is important, but getting air out is also just as important. So a less restrictive exhaust will essentially take away some of the components. Really, bro? This guy in this truck is downshifting at me. Jesus Christ. I'm sure that the guy whose car this is would be pretty pleasantly surprised, and probably not pleasantly, unpleasantly surprised if he saw me on video racing his car. People say that for beginners, you might just want to do a catback. To me, I don't think a catback is really worth that much. If you look into a full exhaust, it could be a pretty good pickup over what you already have. You kind of just don't want to have any bottlenecks that are going to restrict the flow. And not only will it provide better performance, and it's pretty much, the exhaust is like the basic building block to every other modification you're going to do to your car, but it makes it sound a lot better too. Believe it or not, the third modification that I would recommend would be a set of wheels and tires. Now, you might not think this is a performance modification, but depending on your car, wheels and tires can make it an entirely different ball game. As a matter of fact, I was watching a video by Engineering Explained. I really enjoy those videos, so shout out to them. And he was talking about how tires can affect performance and how having a good tire can be more effective than having more power. If you think about it, with a regular tire, it's a system of friction, and you're either getting power to the ground or you're getting friction by the tire spinning and losing traction. So a good set of tires will get rid of that and get all of the power to the ground no matter what not no matter what situation you're in, but it'll do a better job of getting more power to the ground instead of losing power by the tire slipping. With a smaller wheel, on a fast car, you're able to have more tire sidewall, which means more sidewall wrinkle, more traction. Perfect example, on my Z06, I went from a 19-inch factory rear wheel to a 17-inch wheel with a Hoosier on it, and it performed much, much better at the drag strip. Next up on the list is none other than a tune. It might seem like, a tune, why would I do that to a factory car? Or maybe I only have basic modifications, but the fact of the matter is that a tune can unleash a lot of horsepower. Even if you have a factory car, lots of vehicles have to be detuned from the factory because regulations, environmental standards, stuff like that, they can't come out of the box at their full potential a lot of the times, and your tuner will know exactly what to do, how to reach the maximum potential of a car. And even if you don't plan on modifying it, you can slap a tune on it and sometimes pick up 50 or 60 horsepower. I mean, it's really that much, and it makes a big difference. Now with something like that, if you're planning on doing a certain set of mods, you might want to knock that out before you get the tune, because you don't have to pay for tunes over and over again. They are a couple $100 if you get it tuned by a good place that has, you know, a lot of clientele. They have to fit you in. Your tunes are going to be more expensive, so it's something that you might want to wait on until you're modified a little bit. But if you're not planning on getting modified, you know, getting a tune could really pick up the performance of your car. Last but not least, this might not be a good modification for everybody. For example, like I told you, I'm driving a Shelby GT500. Pretty much any modular Ford motor, this isn't going to be simple. This suspension is tight, bouncing me around. But pretty much in any Ford motor, this isn't going to be simple as far as, you know, the dual overhead cam motors go. But with like an LS Chevy Lineage motor, a camshaft can be a huge pickup. It's really a simple modification that can give you a lot of benefit. It's something I would really look into before trying to tackle it, but in the long haul, some motors, it's really simple to do. You can do it in a weekend. You don't have to really remove anything from your vehicle a lot of the time, except for maybe the radiator, and it will provide huge benefits. Those are my 5 modifications that I would recommend for you to start off on. If you progress up the ladder through each of those modification brackets and you're like, hey, I'm kind of into this, you'll slowly start to learn things and figure things out, and before long, you might be able to build your way up to the cam and even do that. Those are my 5 modifications that I would recommend, probably in that order. And I have one bonus modification that's a big one. I can't tell on this car, but with pretty much every car that I've owned, an aftermarket shifter would have come in huge. So on a lot of vehicles, obviously this will only work for stick cars. 100% of the time, in cars that I've owned, a shifter would have helped out big time. When I had the V1 CTS-V, awful shifter, never got a shifter in that, but it's just like the first time that I experienced an aftermarket shifter was in my Z06, and let me tell you something, the stock shifter was decent, the aftermarket shifter was great. It literally shortened the shift up so much that I hurt my wrist trying to get it into third because I expected to have to go way forward, and I had to just click it right in. So those are my 5+1 modifications, I guess you could say, that you would want to start out with on a car, and past that, I mean, you start getting into boost and all that kind of good stuff. So let me know what you think of those modifications. Are these things something that you think would be good for someone just starting out on getting their car modified? Do you have any other ideas to toss in the direction of people who are modifying their cars? Have a conversation with people who are trying to figure it out down in the comments, because after all, it's all about learning and communicating with each other, helping each other out. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can leave those below as well. I'll try and answer as many as I can. This has been Big Clive 34. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to pound that like button if you enjoyed this video, and comment and subscribe to stay updated with all my videos.